All right, today we're jumping into one of the biggest economic shifts maybe in all of human history, and it's being driven entirely by artificial intelligence. Now, this isn't just about computers getting a little bit faster. We're talking about a complete reimagining of work, of value, and really what it even means to be productive. So what does this new world actually look like?
To really get a feel for this, let's make it personal. I want you to just picture your life, say, a decade from now. You don't wake up to some blaring alarm. Instead, your AI health advocate has already optimized your sleep cycle, so it wakes you up gently at the perfect moment. But the real change, well, that starts when you plug into your new professional life. You know, before you've even had your first sip of coffee, your personal AI agent has been hard at work. It's already sifted through your inbox, handled dozens of those routine emails. It's even gone ahead and negotiated a better rate with your insurance company, saving you money while you were asleep. And that big project proposal you were worried about? Yeah, a first draft is already sitting there waiting for you. This isn't science fiction, folks. This is the new kind of leverage you're going to have in the very, very near future.
And all of this brings us to what we can start calling the AI native world. This is an economy where the main engine for creating wealth isn't human labor anymore. It's computational power. The old rules, the ones that said more output requires more people, they're being completely thrown out the window.
Just look at this comparison right here. In the past, if you wanted to scale a business to $1 billion valuation, what we call a unicorn, you needed to hire hundreds, maybe even thousands of people. But today, we are seeing the rise of the one-person unicorn. A single founder can now use an army of AI agents to handle literally everything from writing the code to managing legal contracts to running global marketing campaigns.
So, what this really leads to is a huge pivot in how we value things. The focus is shifting from human capital to computational capital. Your ability to buy processing power or compute and get access to giant data sets becomes the #1 driver of wealth. Your most valuable asset isn't a team of brilliant people anymore. It's a rack of servers.
Of course, the fear is real. You can feel it. Is a robot going to take my job? And you know what? That's a totally valid concern. But to really understand where we're going, we have to look back at where we've been. History is just littered with these kinds of tech tsunamis, and the truth is, we've learned how to surf these waves before.
You see this pattern again and again. During the Industrial Revolution, weavers were terrified of the loom, but that new efficiency created the entire modern fashion industry. When the car came along, blacksmiths were, understandably, pretty worried. But cars gave us suburbs, the tourism industry, a global logistics network. More recently, people swore the internet would kill retail. Instead, it gave us e-commerce and the creator economy. Every wave of fear was met with a new wave of innovation nobody saw coming. But, and this is a huge but, that's not the whole story.
Because these transitions, they were never easy. They were never painless. And that optimistic view of history often just glosses over a really harsh reality. A reality captured by a term economists call Engels Pause.
So what is Engels Pause? Well, during the Industrial Revolution, factory output just exploded because of all these new machines. But for decades, the average worker saw zero benefit. Their wages stayed completely flat. All that new wealth, all that progress, flowed straight to the top, to the factory owners. It was a time of massive economic growth that left the actual workers behind, facing brutal conditions for terrible pay. Sound familiar?
And this period came with a heavy price. You had widespread structural unemployment, where a skill you'd spent your whole life mastering, like being a carriage driver, became worthless almost overnight. This led to massive social unrest. The Luddites, they didn't hate technology. They were smashing machines because their families were literally starving. This painful transition, this valley of despair, it can last for an entire generation.
Okay, so if we know the past was painful, how can we write a new playbook for this AI era? What does making a living even look like when the machines can do so much of the work? Let's explore some of the new roles that are starting to pop up.
The new opportunities really seem to be falling into 3 main buckets. So, which path will you take? Are you going to become a director of AI, the strategist, the editor, the one who guides the machine's output like a film director? Or maybe you're a micro-entrepreneur using an AI's brainpower to build a super niche business from scratch. Or will you be the one to provide the human premium, those high-trust, high-touch services like therapy or coaching, or making artisanal crafts that a machine just can't replicate?
Now, how individuals like you and me adapt, that's one piece of the puzzle. The other, bigger piece is how society as a whole is going to navigate this change. And based on those lessons from history, we can kind of see 3 potential futures branching out in front of us. Let's break these down. First, the optimistic path, the great upgrade. This is where AI productivity just goes through the roof, making everything so cheap and abundant that we can all work less and enjoy more free time. The cautionary tale, though, is the fragmented divide. This is a future that looks a lot like Engels' Pause, where a tiny class of AI architects captures all the wealth, leading to social unrest and serious talks about things like universal basic income. And finally, there's the artisanal renaissance, where society sort of pushes back against mass automation by placing a huge value on anything that is authentically, certifiably human-made.
At the end of the day, navigating these possible futures all comes down to answering a really fundamental human question about our role in this new world. Because the very nature of work, it's changing at its very core.
This right here, this is the key. If you take away one thing, let it be this. For most of human history, value was created by doing the work, plowing the field, assembling the car, writing the code. We are now entering an era where value is created by defining the goal. Your worth is no longer just in what you can do, but in what you can imagine. Think about it. A machine can find an answer to almost anything you ask it, but it can't tell you what problems are worth solving. It can't tell you what art is worth creating, or what future is worth building. That's still our job. In a world of infinite answers, the most valuable human skill of all is going to be knowing which question is truly worth asking.